It was a quiet evening in the village of Ojong. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the huts made of clay and straw. The villagers were going about their daily routines, preparing for the night. The river that flowed next to the village was calm, its waters shimmering under the fading sunlight. But everyone knew the river wasn't just any river. It held secrets, dark secrets. The villagers believed that anyone who drowned in the river was never truly gone. Their spirits lingered, watching, waiting for something or someone. No one dared swim too deep or stay near the river after dark. It was said that the spirits would pull you under if they wanted you to join them. Amani, a curious boy of 12, often watched the river from afar. He loved the sound of the water, the way it moved over the rocks, creating soft ripples. But his mother always warned him to stay away. "The river is not a place for playing," she would say. "There are things there you cannot see, but they can see you." One evening, as Amani sat by the riverbank, throwing pebbles into the water, something strange happened. A man, soaking wet, emerged from the river. His clothes clung to his body, and his eyes looked distant. He didn't speak, but simply stared ahead, as if lost in a world only he could see. Amani's heart raced. Who was this man? And why was he in the river? The man walked slowly into the village. Amani followed him, keeping a safe distance. When the villagers saw the stranger, they gasped in shock. He wasn't just any man. He was Mala, the fisherman who had drowned in the river 5 years ago. Everyone had assumed he was dead, but now he was back, alive. Amani's mother, Layla, rushed out of their hut, her face pale. "It cannot be," she whispered. "Mala, he was gone." The elders quickly gathered in the center of the village. They spoke in hushed tones, fear clear in their eyes. "The river has brought him back," one of them said. "But why? What does it want?" Mala stood in the middle of the village, silent and unmoving. He didn't seem to recognize anyone, not even his wife Tommy, who wept as she approached him. "Mala, is it really you?" she cried. But he gave no response, no sign that he knew her. Amani watched from the sidelines, feeling a strange pull toward the river. Something was wrong. He could feel it in the air, a tension that made his skin tingle. That night, as the village tried to make sense of Mala's return, Amani couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, haunted by the image of the man emerging from the water. The next day, Mala still didn't speak. The villagers were worried. Some said they should send him back to the river, that he wasn't really Mala but something else. Others believed he had been spared by the spirits and should be left alone. Amani, however, felt that there was more to the story. Something about the way Mala had returned didn't feel right. Late that night, Amani sneaked out of his hut and made his way back to the river. The moonlight reflected off the water, making it look almost magical. He stood at the edge, listening to the gentle lapping of the waves. As he stared into the water, he thought he saw something moving just beneath the surface. A hand. Amani stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest. It couldn't be real, but then he saw it again, this time clearer. A pale hand reached up from the depths of the river, followed by a face. It was a woman, her eyes wide, her mouth open as if screaming for help, though no sound came out. Terrified, Amani ran back to the village. He knew he had to tell someone, but who would believe him? No one ever believed the stories of children, especially stories about ghosts and spirits. But he had to try. The next morning, he told his mother what he had seen. Layla's face turned white. "We must speak to the elders," she said, her voice shaky. The elders listened to Amani's story with grim expressions. "The river is angry," one of them said. "It wants something from us." It is not done." Amani didn't understand. Why would the river be angry? What could it possibly want? But deep down, he knew that Mala's return and the strange woman in the water were connected. The river had a secret, and he was determined to find out what it was. Over the next few days, strange things began happening in the village. The river, once calm and peaceful, started to swell, its waters rising higher than ever before. At night, the villagers heard eerie whispers coming from the riverbank, voices that seemed to call out for help. People were scared to go near the water, fearing they would be taken by the spirits. Amani couldn't shake the feeling that the answers lay within the river itself. One evening, as the sun set and the village grew quiet, he made a decision. He would go back to the river, but this time he wouldn't just watch. He would dive in, confront whatever was hiding beneath the surface. Taking a deep breath, he waded into the water, feeling its coldness against his skin. As he swam deeper, the current pulled at him, as if trying to drag him under. But Amani was determined. He swam down, his eyes scanning the murky depths for any sign of life. And then he saw it. A dark shape, looming just ahead. It looked like a massive shadow, shifting and swirling in the water. As Amani swam closer, he realized it wasn't just a shadow. It was something alive, something ancient. Before he could react, the shadow moved. It wrapped around him, pulling him down into the depths. Amani struggled, kicking and thrashing, but the current was too strong. His lungs burned as he held his breath, his mind racing with fear. Just as he was about to give in, a bright light appeared before him. It was the same woman he had seen before, her hand reaching out to him. With a desperate gasp, Amani grabbed her hand, and everything went dark. When Amani woke, he wasn't in the river anymore. He was somewhere else, somewhere deep beneath the water, yet strangely dry. The walls were made of shimmering stone, and the air was thick with a strange, sweet smell. The woman stood before him, her eyes kind but sad. "You have come to us," she said in a soft voice, "but you are not like the others." Amani didn't understand. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice trembling. "What do you want from me?" The woman smiled faintly. "We are the lost ones. The river has taken us, but it will not let us go. It holds our spirits here in this place between life and death." Amani's heart raced. He had heard stories of the spirits trapped in the river, but he never thought they were true. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Why can't you leave?" The woman's face darkened. "The river is cursed," she said. "Long ago it was a place of peace, but something terrible happened, and now it takes those who come too close. It keeps us here, forever trapped." Amani's mind spun with questions. He wanted to know more, but before he could speak, the woman took his hand again. "There is something you must see," she said. They walked through the strange, shimmering world beneath the river, and Amani felt a growing sense of dread. The deeper they went, the colder the air became, and the walls seemed to pulse with a dark energy. Finally, they reached a massive door carved with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. The woman placed her hand on the door, and it swung open with a loud creak. Inside, Amani saw a terrible sight.